All right. Welcome to the Meta High School Esports playoffs. We are here with playoffs round 1 between, I believe it's, need to get, it is.
I think it's Forest Lake High School versus St. Peter Claver College, SPCC,
Yes.
sorry. That's on.
Indeed. And we have a sub, I believe, because of some problems with the Queensland area, but we have the players here ready to go. Boshi, Captain Kassan, Very Bad Bunny, Mochi, and Zamu for Forest Lake. And in particular, I think what stood out to me is that Mochi, for the AD carry position, could be a star player here. Hopefully, I'll see if they do prioritize that in the draft as we move into that very shortly. And then SPC have their own roster of Smiley, Nerm, Unused Move, Stack 5, Orvendek, and OZ Quick Mick. So I am excited to get this start rolling, and we'll just get into draft as soon as the players are ready.
Yeah, what are you thinking? You mentioned that Mochi is going to be probably a star player against ADC for their ADC. How do you think he'll actually match up against Orvendek?
I think I don't know particularly these two players' playstyles, right? But in particular, Mochi just stood out in the lobby as a high-ranked individual. I don't know exactly how well he's been performing tournament-wide, but we'll see where the bans go, because that's usually an indicator of who the teams believe to be the strong picks and who they care about. And as Diana goes through, and that could either be respecting the mid laner or the jungler here.
So you're saying you're probably expecting some more personal choices when we were talking before the stream, rather than maybe more strictly to the meta. But if you were going to pick from the meta, who would you think that Mochi was going to go with there?
I definitely think in terms of AD carry, you can just get like a Jinx going and you can pop off with it, because you have a lot of power just to carry games later on, and even just in lane you can control waves really well with the switcheroo on Jinx. Just rockets are so good. You have range, you have wave clear, and then just snap traps with any support that can actually set you up means that you still have kill pressure. But we do see the Tristana banned away from Mochi. Tristana, just a nice flex pick, and of course if you're killing people, Tristana is really nice at killing people. And the center is an interesting band because it's on the other side of things, where it's really good at diffusing lanes and keeping them stale. So still on the same line, I think.
Galio band coming out there as well on that Forest Lake side. Looking at taking away a fair bit of MP there with that Diana ban as well.
Yeah, and I did see that Samira was a big one for Mochi on his OPGG before we came in here, so maybe they're just taking away the two main AD carries there from him, and it will just be Kai'Sa instead. And what Kai'Sa is good at, you've banned Samira away, you've banned Tristana away, but Kai'Sa's the same kind of idea. You want to get in there, you want to get aggressive, you want to kill some people, get ahead. And so now they're going to have to decide what they want to go against, because something like the Nautilus, the Thresh can come in, and there's 2-3 for blue side, and supplement this Kai'Sa very well, as Skarner will be the chosen. And Skarner's interesting because you can just shut down something like the Kai'Sa. If they try to run in, you get the suppression on them and stop them in their tracks.
Yeah, good for picking off an individual from a team, particularly if they are worried about Mochi in particular as well. That's going to be a good pick to be able to isolate him away from them.
Yeah, and we'll just see if Mochi is able to get enough of a lead that he can finance a Quicksilver Sash just very quickly to make sure this Skarner isn't as much of a threat as he elsewise could be. But Jhin is also a nice pickup, because Jhin, while if you do get on top of him, it's pretty rough. Jhin can control from a distance, and maybe they will be looking on the red side to just not engage with this Kai'Sa unless it's on their terms. Make sure it's very nice. As I'm expecting something like the Nautilus, but it will just be the Ahri pickup for their mid laner, as I do still expect support to be picked up, because you can just pair it with the Kai'Sa and feel pretty happy with yourself. Jhin is immobile. He has some lane dominance, which hopefully we'll be able to see. But if you just pick up something like the Nautilus and you can just pick off the Jhin, get yourself ahead, that's definitely something Kai'Sa wants. As Ahri can also roam. But instead it will be the Nunu for now.
And if Mochi is that kind of threat to them, I think Jin being able to keep him at bay is going to be a big choice there as well. They definitely seem to have picked a strategy against the ADC on that blue side, so hopefully that does work out for them. It might create a bit more pressure as soon as we get into team fights and roaming as well, particularly being that it may even things out very well in those early stages.
Yeah, and now you've got Leona, and you've got some bans to chuck at the support Boshi here, as you have a strong support yourself. You have Jin Leona. That's a strong bottom lane into the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa's going to find it pretty hard to play, so now you can just target ban whatever supports you think are actually going to be a threat to your bottom lane, and maybe just have a really strong showing. Try to keep Mochi out of this game, and then maybe you can even follow it up with a counter pick in mid, something like a Kassadin perhaps, if you were really just trying to take advantage of the fact that you have the Ahri and the Nunu both magic damage based, as well as just a very strong skirmishing power spike at level 6 once Kassadin gets there, especially if you take something like the Electrocute.
Well, with Brand banned away as well there, some big burst damage, absolutely shattered there. Glass cannon taken away. Lux as well. I mean, fairly standard mid picks there. I don't think there's any big surprises there that they would ban those away, but maybe there are some particularly good players with those as well, so it could have been a bit more strategy as well.
Yeah, and the reason they're banning that Lux away, right, is because they have their mid laner. Basically, the idea is that Red side has Leona, their support, so they're banning supports that they don't want to see. But then we have Ahri already picked, and so you can just ban away mid laners to help make the Ahri succeed. So definitely, you pick the Kai'Sa up early, probably because you prioritize it as a very strong AD carry, especially with Samira and Tristana gone. But then now they're putting the effort into making sure that their mid laner is able to prosper. As they might even just hold the mid for 5th pick, not even bothering to pick it up, even though they see the Ahri, as they might have something spicy in store, maybe even the Kassadin, if they do want to just make sure they have a nice comp for it before they pick it.
So if I'm right about that Jin pick to try and keep that bottom lane a little bit more stale there, the focusing on that mid lane may be a really good move, like you're talking about as well. If you're not going to be able to break away and get some massive plays down the bottom, focusing on that mid lane may be where a team pulls ahead here in a big way before any other major action on the field even.
Yeah, and if they do, they do go for the Shen. I was a bit worried with the Mordekaiser Hover, even with the Shen as well. The main thing I'm worried about looking at this team with the Nunu and the Kai'Sa and the Ahri is that there's a lot of magic damage, and the only attack damage you're going to have is that Kai'Sa. But of course, that's a good thing for your carry. They will have the majority of no one will be able to build armor because you have so much AP, and if you try to stack that armor to nullify the Kai'Sa, you're just making everything else so much more valuable. As it is the Syndra that comes in against Ahri, and that's pretty standard, pretty tame mid lane, I'd say, as it will end up just depending on the bot lane, I think, in the end, because we have a pretty tame mid lane, not much probably happening, 2 tanks in the jungle, and then 2 tanks in the top lane. So Set could bully the Shen pretty hard, but I'm expecting most of the action is going to happen when we get to level 6, Nautilus has ultimate, Shen has ultimate, and can really make some stuff happen in bot lane.
Yeah, and I mean that's a lot of field control as well with the Shen. So that level 6 is definitely going to open up the game a lot for, particularly for that blue side. So it should be quite interesting. I'm glad to see a Shen pick as well, one of my own personal previous mains at least.
Yeah, and then meanwhile on this red side, I just see a focus on shutting down a lot of what else is going on the other team with Skarner and Set and then zone control, as you said, with Syndra. You just have so many ways of preventing people from getting onto this Jin, and then you're just picking off a target with the likes of Leona or the Skarner when you actually do find someone by themselves.
Yeah, I think Skarner's a really, really smart pick here. It could be a huge game changer if that Skarner is used well, but it can be a bit of a backfire if it's not as well. So I'm looking for big things out of unused move there.
Yeah, and I think that's the majority of it now. We're just waiting for the spectator delay, so we'll quickly just wait that out, and then we'll come back when that's ready. All right, welcome to the game. We are now just loading in. Teams running around, fanning off the rift. Kaiser and Norlis a bit lagged behind, and Set and Skarner the same, but eventually we'll just have a standard fan.
Yeah, pretty standard fare so far. A little bit of a question mark in the river there. I think the red side here, a little bit worried about an invade, maybe even.
Yeah, they have watered the topside river here because they think maybe there might be some shenanigans. Skarner not actually going back for Sweeper is a bit interesting, but he's actually kind of getting boxed up a bit here with the Ari and the Shen, but he will be alright. Now, the question is, what does Shen want to do, and Shana want to do, rather, as he collects his Spire? And I like that he's starting on the top side, because he does want to go towards his Leona and Jhin. They have a lot of gank assistance, and if he can get down there and set this Kai'Sa behind, Kai'Sa is definitely the premier carry here. So if they are able to get some stuff done on the bot lane, that'll be a huge going into the rest of this game. Maybe even allow them to start stacking up some dragons.
Minions come in, and Vision's gone out pretty well for the red side in particular. They got both sides of river covered. Coming into bot lane now. Of course, the red side already in there, waiting for their opponents, as only the Nautilus and Kai'Sa come in here.
Yeah. Not much poke coming down yet. Set, early game, very strong, gotta be careful. If Shen does end up trading significant blows with him, it will mean that Shen will struggle to CS for the rest of the game. Set also has a lot of natural regen, so could be a bit nasty in the early game, but later on, Set should not be able to threaten the Shen too much, should be a bit of a stalemate. So hopefully Boshi can just get it together in this early game and then just be a trooper later, as Leona's caught.
Yeah, this could be a bad exchange here. They are able to take a little bit of damage off of that Nautilus, though, there. Of course, both big damages put out on the support. It's not going to be a huge issue so far, but the exchange actually seems to have won out for the red side in the long run.
Yeah, as the aftershock came through on that Leona was really big there. Weren't able to get much damage off on, as actually mid is almost dead. The level up will save it, it looks like, but the ignite coming through as well, almost taking down stacked 5. Might have to use that teleport as Nunu heading up this top lane.
Ooh, this could be bad. That's going to be the first death there. As Set goes out early, that's going to be good for that Shen. Like you said, that the exchanges early for Shen had to be pretty important, and now he's got some free rain on those minion waves. Going to get a lot of CS off of that.
Yeah, it's huge. Now Set TPing back. Shen still has a lot of HP. He will actually miss the Shadow Taunt, as he takes a lot of damage every time. He still has TP though.
There's that top lane. Just the bully coming out on Shen there, as he takes a lot of damage in return. Is still at kill up. Yeah. Another attempt here on Set. It's good damage early. Boshi gonna get another one there as Set goes down for the second time. That is huge for top lane, and this red side. Ooh, St. Peter Claver College are gonna have to be careful with that top lane.
Yeah, Nunu going for the second gank, both of them being successful. Very nice stuff by Captain Kaysen, as now Shen is going to have a nice time going into the rest of this game, as Syndra's actually forced to flash in the mid lane.
Yeah, Syndra's been bullied pretty hard here. She's fighting back, but a lot of damage very early here is zoning her out fairly heavily. I mean, they are a fairly well-matched mid lane as far as champion picks, so should be able to see her push back. But you know, we will see some big stuff coming out of her, I expect, once she hits level 6, which should be fairly shortly now.
Yeah, Ari is lining low in this mana, so even if she does hit 6, shouldn't be able to take out the Syndra, but if Syndra is able to TP back with her item buy, with that level 6 available, you have that massive kill threshold of like 400 off of the ultimate, so definitely could see this turning bad if Syndra's able to get a good buy here. And speaking of the teleports from the Syndra, when she does TP back, that'll be a lot of prio for this dragon that is coming up, and Jhin and Leona have also made their back, so they're very strong, can definitely contest this objective.
Already seeing a little bit of a gold differential opening up here, 1.2k difference there for the blue side. Forest Lake High School pulling ahead a little bit here, but it is still early game, and we will start to see some roaming soon. I think there's going to be another death mid lane finally going down there. That Ari has done very well. Yeah,
Ari flashing forward, getting the charm. Big stuff by her, as she just put so much pressure on the Syndra, And now Syndra gonna have to TP back mid probably. Will actually choose not to by the looks of it, but definitely Ahri is making this Syndra Ahri matchup work, and especially since Syndra was that last pick, Ahri doing a huge job into what was supposed to be the counter pick.
That crab getting taken in the lower river there, as there's a few backs here from the blue side. They're going to be coming back with a lot of strength here. And it seems like across the board, Forest Lake High School seems to be winning out these exchanges, particularly that top lane. A huge advantage there. And now mid's starting to pull away a little as well.
Yeah. Now going forward, the level 6 we talked about in draft is coming up. And that'll be a big point. Shen will be able to get involved in this bottom lane. They've already got a huge advantage off of the mid and the top lane, but really what we want to see is the Kai'Sa getting some of this gold. It's very huge where they're at, but if they can get their carry ahead, keep the gold lead, just continuous snowballing, we should see a lot of good things for this blue side. See them actually progress to taking the victory, because the Kai'Sa is going to be important for diving the backline. It's going to be important for killing Baron. And so we do want to see him actually getting ahead. But Ahri is succeeding so much that she could also step up into that carry role.
And looking at item purchases here as well, quite a lot of items stacking up on the blue side. Jhin has been able to get a couple of long swords out there to support his Doran's Blade, but still, there's just not a lot coming through here. The pickaxe giving him an extra 25 damage there as well. But I think that bot lane is going to start suffering a little bit with the items just starting to outweigh the red side there.
Yeah. You do have the Noon Quiver, but mainly what that's going to be advantaged is... hold on, there might actually be a lot of action here. In the mid lane, Charm will go wide, though. If that had hit, probably would have been a dead Syndra. Could have even made it been a dead Syndra with the Ignite being burned, but just barely out of range. So Ahri still putting on so much pressure, still absolutely dominating in the mid lane.
Yeah, and that pressure is really, really pushing that lane forward. It's going to be able to allow Ahri to roam far earlier than the Syndra, most likely as well. So another advantage there for the Forest Lake High School side. They're definitely getting the upper hand early here, but now that the level 6s have come out, we may see a different story. Nautilus taking those hits. He's going to go down early. Mochi, can he make it back to tower? He's going to get pulled away by the Skarner. There's that pick coming out. So big. But that teleport in from Shen might just save the day here. Mochi will get back, and Shen will survive it as well.
But Ahri's in here now. The Charm lands. Ignite goes down. Skarner instantly taken out as Jhin flashed forward earlier. Might not be able to get out of here. Foxfires will come out. Auto attacks will just finish the deal with the Charm.
Ahri, that pressure in mid lane has gotten her so much CS. She's coming in with a lot of power now already.
Yeah. 10 CS up on that Syndra with the solo kill meant a lot more purchasing power, and now the roam coming through, another 2 additional kills. Ahri stepping up huge here as... Ooh, I was a bit scared for the Syndra there. One Charm hitting might be the end of her, as they're actually catching out Nunu here on the Rift Herald.
Yep.
Nunu can secure objectives very large with the Consume and Smite, as there's actually Nautilus on the top side collapsing on these guys. They might not have a way out.
They will get the Herald. They're going to get that Skarner down as well. That's a kill just given away to the blue side there. Unfortunately, that Skarner is having a tough time ever since that gank at bottom lane, and now things are starting to crumble. Shen is actually going to go on that set as well. Good exchange here. Shen is taking no damage from this set now, as he's dominating that top lane.
Yeah, and you'll notice Forest Lake is up almost 3,000 gold already 10 minutes in. It's a very large amount, especially with the dragon as well. They're stacking dragons. They've got a huge lead, and this Ahri is a lot of it. Has just been dominating the mid lane, has been roaming to other lanes, and Set versus Shen is not getting the effectiveness as they would have as much as they would have wanted, as Shen is just untouchable, as you said.
Yeah, there's a lot of bravery out of that set there as well. I mean, Shen is now so tanky he could do a decent amount of damage and probably come up with a positive exchange even under tower, and Set's still going for the throat here. It's just not going to be enough to actually do anything to that Shen though.
Yeah, he tries for the solo kill, ults him into his tower range, but Shen's still just at such a HP advantage. Set barely hanging it in here, as there might actually be a solo kill for the Shen very quickly, very in the near future if the Set is not careful.
Vision going down in that lower river there again as they go for that crab. There may actually be a bit of a fight here in the river. There's the Skana going to bring that Nunu closer. Nunu 1v3ing right now and taking a lot of damage. He will go down, but able to hold out a little while, but just not going to be able to do anything caught out like that.
Yeah, and almost dangerous there for the Shen in top lane. Set getting a big trade back as now he's in the HP lead. But Nunu getting caught out there. He did get the Scuttle Crabs. That is worth something. But in the end, he does lose his life, and that's the important part. No objective, though. Dragon's still yet to come up. And so we're just left with one kill going over, and it's a dent in the bucket. It's still 3k gold down, and it's rough. It's definitely going to be a rough uphill battle because they haven't got much scaling option here for SPCC, because their scaling option is a Syndra and a Jhin, and these are strong mid-game picks, I'd say, more so than late-game picks. Syndra definitely can pop off in the late game, but I'm hoping to see some big stuff out of them if they are going to win this one. This Charm does land. This will be a big damage. It will just be Syndra's Flash.
Syndra is actually going to go back here by the looks of it. And we will see possibly a fight here at tower in the bottom lane as well as they push forward quite heavily. They will retreat quite quickly though. That Kai'Sa damage coming through again as Nunu comes in. Now Leona going to get slowed and rooted on the spot. So little health, will go down under tower as Mochi takes another kill.
Yeah, and Leona's just trying to keep the Jhin from dying, right? But instead, she becomes the target as the Nautilus just flashes forward to guarantee her death. And they will actually take the majority of this tower. The tower plating coming down means they're getting most of the value. They're probably going to get the whole tower because the Rift Tower is just so tanky and there's no one to defend it here, as Skana is not bottom. Jhin is unable to move up on the tower, and we'll just have to recall. Won't be able to do anything about it, as Kai'Sa will get a lot of this tower gold for herself, and that's a big deal. Now the leave's ballooning as actually Shen is going for maybe a kill.
Yeah, had to actually get a lot of damage and push that Set back there, because speaking of towers, that top tower taking nearly half its health and damage on that one push there as Shen was forced to back. Probably the first time Set's really been able to force Shen back like that, and did make good use of it there, but across the board really, I mean, top lane is probably the only one that isn't in advantage on tower health, and that's going to be largely contributed to by the fact that Shen is going to be a huge team player. He's going to be much more effective across the map than Set is, particularly at this point in time.
Yeah, and we've only seen the one Shen ult, but it was critical. It kept Kai'Sa from dying. It allowed Ahri to roam down and get 2 kills. So any future Shen ults are going to be exactly the same, allowing these carries to survive and enabling them, as you said, across the map, even if Set manages to get an advantage in the top lane. And now they've got 2 dragons and a full tower off of that Rift Tower play. The snowball is just absolutely crushing. 5k now. It was only 2k at that 10-minute mark, but 5 minutes later it's ballooned another 3k. So Forest Lake definitely doing a huge job here in this early game.
Yeah, absolutely massive, and some decent CS lead across the teams here as well. Forest Lake really coming up on top there, but Set, a good exchange there, but it's going to go very evenly. Shen will have his cooldowns reset earlier though, and Set will be forced back. Probably a good thing for him as well, as Nunu rushed in there for the gank. Wasn't able to find him.
Yeah, as mid lane, in the top lane, Nunu is bailing Shen out, getting that wave in. But in the mid lane, Syndra just dumping a full combo on the Kai'Sa. Now, heavily chunked for this Rift Herald that's about to spawn, so maybe they can just take that on the respawn as Syndra TP's back and Kai'Sa very chunked out for this objective.
Watching this bottom lane here as well, pushing second tower now. This Ahri is such a threat on her own right now that this is not too big a risk for her, really. She can put out a decent trade, but she's not even going to have to. Syndra coming in too late to really save a lot of the damage on that tower, as second tower loses a lot more, probably 3/4 of the health more. Still going here. The Ahri really pushing, maybe gathering for a team fight now, though. In mid lane, we may see one of the first real team fights coming out here. That Skarner is going to take a huge amount of damage, but he is tanky. He's going to survive for so long, it's going to waste a lot of blue side's time. It doesn't matter, as more damage comes out. There goes the Set and the Leona, and that's going to be 3 kills for Forest Lake. 4, as Ahri comes in from behind.
And there's even a 5th on the horizon. 5 members here and 1 lonely Jhin as he just gets absolutely slaughtered under his first tier tower. And that's a 5-0, and they tried so hard to get onto that Kai'Sa, flashing forward to try and get that Skarner ultimate, but in the end, what they're left with is a Nautilus and a Nunu that is stalling time as the Shen comes through with the Shen ultimate on the Kai'Sa, and Ahri just moves over. And after the Kai'Sa is left untouched, is able to fight that whole time, and Ahri comes in as well. Huge Q's area damage because of how far ahead she is. Now we see it balloon. Mid lane tower being gone means that the jungle is open. You can go in, you can get wards, you can kill people that maybe just want to move in their own side of the map, and you just get all of that gold from having a 5-0 fight. So huge stuff by Forest Lake.
Even early on, that 1k gold lead, it wasn't much, but it allowed them to get tiny advantages very early in this match, and they've been able to use that to snowball the amount they've got. Finally, like you said, it balloons out, and now there's an enormous gold lead. They're looking for that 10k lead, which is absolutely enormous. There's going to be a huge exchange in top lane. Set taking huge amounts of damage. He's going to go down as well. Mochi on a rampage.
Yeah, and it's just all falling apart. You don't really have that much looking for the future if you are SPCC, and so now it's just about finding the Kai'Sa. They had the right idea, now they just have to try and find Skarner flash in a few minutes coming back up, flash forward, get that Ahri, get that Kai'Sa, get a shutdown onto your Jhin or your Syndra, and using that newfound power off of that shutdown gold, maybe you can actually get in there and mount a comeback in this game.
Skarner pinging the timer on that Ocean Drake as well. I don't know if he wants it or if he's worried about Forest Lake taking it, but a lot of attention being given to it there for a moment. He's going to grab somebody here, and that's the Shen in bottom lane. He's just so tanky. 2 players unable to do anything to him. Gets him just below half health, and he'll just walk off.
And now Skarner ults down for the dragon fight. Now all the members of Blue Team are here because they want to get that dragon soul threatened. Will be on 3 out of 4 very early in the game with a huge lead, and it's Ocean Soul as well, which will just help them in the team fights and sticking out through any type of poke that could come from a Syndra or a Jhin onto the Kai'Sa. So I definitely feel good. As the TPA has actually come through, there might be a fight still brewing here.
And that dragon goes down so quickly, but now the Skarner is going to push these guys up into the jungle a little. Low visibility is going to let Set get picked off. There's more damage coming out there from the Kai'Sa as well. Another kill comes out. It looks like they may only get the 2, but a lot of damage there on the Skarner as well will force him back. With 2 players really left on the field here for the moment. That's a huge, huge win yet again for Forest Lake High School.
Yeah, and there's still life in SPC, but Forest Lake are just so far ahead. They're looking for fights around this dragon. They TP in, they want it, but unfortunately, they just don't have the tools. Impale on Skarner is still yet to come back up. It's about to come available, and I'm just really worried about if they can even defend this Baron that's just spawned, as Kai'Sa is really strong, Ahri is really strong. They have these front lines that can tank the Baron, so they can definitely just look at this Baron and maybe even turn off it. And so now I'm wondering If they do just go, if you're Forest Lake, you just go onto that Baron, you threaten it, you burn it down, and then you use that to really just end the game ASAP. You have this massive lead, make the most of it.
Yeah, Kai'Sa making a decent decision there to take that red buff away as well will mean that that's not available for the red side for the upcoming fight for that Baron. It's not going to happen straight away. There's another fight in that top lane between Shen and Set. He's going to pull out quite a smart move there, as he knows he doesn't have enough visibility to continue that fight.
Yeah, and one of the classic ways you defeat a Set, right? Because you said, oh, as Syndra might be caught, she will not be caught, so we'll go back to the idea we're positing. One of the main ways that you play around Shen, as we discussed, Shen, if you try and go to his team, he's a team player. He just goes over there, he sacrifices on his own time to make your play a lot worse, as Skarner's just caught up here.
Yeah, another kill there on Skarner. Skarner is really being one of the big costs for SPCC here, as he goes down a number of times. Just going to take a look at his stats, and he's 0-4. I mean, yes, definitely not a character that you expect to have racked up a lot of kills on his own, but that fourth death really not doing great. They're set at 0-6, a huge cost for them there as well. Shen's going to make it 0-7 as he takes him under tower, and Shen just knew where enough players were on field to be able to commit on that one there, despite the lack of forest vision there.
And it's just absolute disaster. Not even with the Baron buff, Forest Lake are killing people. They're taking towers. The only one remaining of the secondary towers is that top tower, and even just the inhibitor tower will fall. Not enough defense available with Jin going down to the Kai'Sa, and so even the inhibitor is going to go down before the Baron, and so when that Baron is taken, it might be strong enough to just end the game, as Syndra's caught out here. That's a lot of damage. We'll just die.
It doesn't seem like Forest Lake are particularly concerned here. Their plan doesn't really need to be that good, to be honest, as long as they can continue to hold out the lead that they've got. They're in a confident standing in this game right now.
Yep, they're recalling now. They got an inhibitor. I would like to see them move towards this Baron. Kai'Sa's got a lot of Baron damage. Ahri is very ahead, so she's going to have a lot more Baron damage than she normally would have. And then you have Nunu just consuming it for that true damage. It's a lot of damage over time. And of course, Nunu's really good at securing the Baron. So get that off the map, get the Ocean Soul, and then use that to push for that victory.
Yeah, looking like a bit of a gathering now in front of Baron. You might see the attempt here come out. Yamachi's going to initiate on the Baron. Both the tanky champions just going to sit in front of that and soak up the damage as it goes below half health very quickly. There's going to be absolutely no contest here from SPCC as it goes down. Yeah, absolutely no fight given at all, and I don't think that they were able to either. Shen holding off in that top lane, and the rest of the champions on that side just having to deal with too many minions in that middle lane.
Syndra is just going to get spirit dashed to death on the side. Nothing she could have done. No flash to help her, and Scatter the Weak going wide means that it's just no help. And you mentioned earlier that Shen, later on, just taking advantageous trades even under the tower, and it's just nothing Set can do, as he's just so far ahead. And this will be the nail in the coffin as the dragon is taken here by Ahri and Nunu and Nautilus. As the soul comes through, you're 15k ahead, absolutely phenomenal number. Your multiple just straight up items sitting in inventories of your carries up on the other team. So I struggle to see how SPCC fights this 1A out, but they're going to try.
And Forest Lake are up by 50% of the money that has been accrued by SPCC at all. And it's showing now in this team fight as Kai'Sa takes 2. There's going to be a third. Jin goes down. They're looking for Syndra. Get her just before she gets back. Kai'Sa, sorry, yeah. And we'll take both the towers. They're looking to end right now. It will be over as both towers go down. All 5 members of Forest Lake just proceed to hammer this Nexus take it out and take game one.
Huge stuff there. Mochi, I said that he was the one to look at, but in the end, he just goes absolutely crazy. Shen gives him that little bit he needs to survive the engage, and then just go absolutely nuts, take out the entirety of SPC and earn himself a pentakill. Nice work there by the Kaiser. So I expect good things of him moving into game two, and especially a very bad Bunny, who I didn't talk about in the draft, but absolutely showed me up. Absolute lane kingdoming stacked 5. So I'm expecting some mid lane bans. I'm expecting some AD bans going into game 2, and I'm excited to see what the variation is.
Yeah, that Ari seemed to have some dominance in that mid lane right from word go. She was really able to outpoke and came through that 8-0-2, huge scoreline for her. She was an enormous asset to the team, and as soon as she started roaming, because she was able to get that poke, get that push up in the lane, she was able to start roaming earlier than anybody else on the team, and that was a huge contribution, particularly to the lower lane. That let Mochi really scale from there.
Yeah, the Ari roams, as you said, she just permanently had prior on mid. She was constantly forcing Syndra back. Syndra was also just chunked, so it was really hard for her to actually contribute. And so they have the roam first. They try to play on bottom, but Shen is there. Ari is there to bail them out. And that was the only real proactive play that almost really SPC could get something out of. So hopefully SPC is able to find some more advantageous scenarios at all, because it was really, really one-sided. It was really, really hard for them to play that game.
I think one of the chances that SPCC had to turn that around early was that fight in bot lane. They nearly were able to take Mochi down, and that level 6 ult coming in from Shen immediately upon getting level 6 saved a life there on one of their key players as well, and it's just more that let Mochi snowball. There was so much contribution from the rest of the team for him to be able to get those 12 kills.
Yeah, and Mochi wasn't really doing much in the early game, right? It was all about that Ari and the Shen and the Nunu in the top side. That was the major key players until Mochi finally was able to get into the fights, was able to get some gold on him, and then he was just taking out Jin randomly, providing huge damage in the 5v5s. So his team really just set up for him to come in and be that key presence, and then he was in the end, and even earned himself a pentakill.
Absolutely. Fantastic game one out of Forest Lake, though. SPCC are going to have to look at what they need to do. Despite the enormous win here from Forest Lake, so much of it was just snowballing, and I feel like a different entry into game two could really have a huge effect on this series.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the draft variation is, and we'll see it in just a bit. We'll go for a break as the teams do discuss what went wrong, what they're going to do in the next game, and then we'll wait with bated breath for the results in the draft. Okay, well, we are here for game 2 of Forest Lake versus SPC. They've had their little bit of time to discuss what's going on. SPCC left to see out. And now we'll see what variations they made, what takeaways they had from that game, and maybe we'll see that immediately as maybe more AD bans or a priority on different ADs. We'll see. I'm interested to see what they think.
Yeah, I mean, there was a huge focus last time on shutting down Mochi, but we saw early game that Mochi wasn't really doing a huge amount on his own. Don't get me wrong, he was an amazing player, but he did have a lot of contribution from the rest of his team, and particularly that mid, Very Bad Bunny, really, really helped out a huge amount for Mochi to start snowballing there. So I think maybe splitting up that attention and taking some picks away from that mid laner could be a big move for them here.
Yeah, maybe just even fully committing to actually making sure you have a strong presence in the mid lane, and if you do that, maybe you can actually get them roaming to the bottom side and helping out rather than the other way around. But they do indeed go with the Nunu, and Nunu got a few critical ganks early, and later on was just absolutely making sure they were not going to lose any objectives as the center returns as well.
I mean, looking at how the top lane performed before, you discussed early how Shen should really not have won the exchanges up there, particularly early on. But it was Nunu that did make sure that that was possible, got an early kill for him, and he was able to really take control of the lane from there. So banning out that Nunu could definitely be a good move if they're looking at really making sure that they can take control across the board, not just one lane.
Yeah, and Darius is, imagine, is there because that is their top lane, that is their preferred character, as Camille also come out as well. Maybe looking at a Shen again, because Shen does okay in the Camille, but definitely struggles a bit at Darius. So if they are looking for that Shen again, who just, as you said, it's the team player, right? You have Bad Bunny and you have Mochi. So if you have Boshi in the top lane holding down the fort and making sure to help out his carries, that's a really big deal, as the first pick will be the Renekton. And that's not just another strong top laner that can come in, try and disincentivize a Shen, try to make sure that he's playing a bit more greedily for himself, because otherwise the Renekton can try to shut them down.
Something else that I would be looking at if I was SPCC right now is forming up better for team fights. There really wasn't a lot of opportunity for team fighting, and by the time that there was already a decent amount of damage on their side. They didn't have the advantage, so setting up to make sure that the team can support each other the same way that Forest Lake did in the first game is going to be a big thing for them here.
Yeah, and Forest Lake didn't get access to Samira last game. It was the Tristana and the Samira that went on the chopping block. So now with Kaiser on the chopping block, they've instead said, okay, we'll just go with the Samira, grab that right away. And the Ari, which had so much success for them last games, also picked up. They're prioritizing those two carry picks, and now we'll see what the answer is, because the Syndra just did not work out for stacked 5 last game. We definitely want SPCC to have a better answer to this Ari, because otherwise Very Bad Bunny could just have another carry performance and head for a swift 2-0.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting that, like you said, that Ari last time was such a massive effect. So I actually almost expected the Ari to get banned out early here, to be honest. And seeing Very Bad Bunny getting on top of that again, it could be a bad sign for SPCC here. They struggled to deal with it last time, so if they haven't banned it out, they need to counterpick it.
Yeah, but the Syndra's come in, and I'm almost certain that will go into the mid lane, and if it does, it didn't look very good. There wasn't even much jungle attention by either jungler, and so I'm very scared for a run back of this matchup. Very Bad Bunny did so well, and if it happens the same way as it did last game, it could just be Very Bad Bunny putting on the carry pants again, as the Nautilus, also a big part of next game. It was looking like Forest Lake is reconstructing the same comp, essentially, just with, instead of a Kai'Sa, they've got a Samira.
Yeah, and being that Samira was banned out last time, that actually could be a positive for this side as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. There goes the Shen banned away. That's probably a good pick there as well, as the last ban comes out for the red side, and it's going to be an Evelyn as well.
And this time, they had the Jin and the Syndra for SPCC as their main carries, but now they've got a bit more range in the Ezreal than Jin. Jin is good for those picks, but Ezreal is good for just that poke. And they've got the Renekton, who should be similar in the set in that he will be just dominating that laning phase and then just kind of become a tankier-ish kind of frontline later on. But we still got a few more picks to go, and Shen not being in there it was also a really big deal on why Forest Lake was able to not have any deaths or significant falters in that early game, because the falters were just completely cleaned up by the Shen. But the Malphite is on the same idea: play for the team, get team fights going, access this Syndra, who's not going to be mobile at all.
Yeah, I think Malphite's quite a smart pick there, especially with the Shen banned away. I did kind of expect that they might stick with a similar team composition to last time and try and find that top laner that was really a team player. Malphite may be able to do a little more on his own though, and we may expect him to actually win the top lane more outright than the Shen did.
And now the Swain comes in, presumably as the support. It's an interesting pickup if it is the support, because Syndra support is definitely not the greatest, but it's potentially possible. But I'm not sure exactly what Stack 5, if Stack 5 is able to take out Swain, but Master Yi is a bit dangerous. You're a bit greedy, and you might not be able to help these lanes, and we saw mid with no help from either jungler, especially from Syndra's jungler, might just collapse again, and that might be what we expect with Master unable to provide assistance. Maybe in the late game, Master can pop up, but there's Malphite ultimate, there's the Nautilus lockdown, Ari Charm. It's really hard for the Master to get in here.
Yeah, and I mean, the Master Yi ult just being able to power through so much is kind of negated by the specific CC that is on the red side here. It may be not. I'm not expecting it to actually be that great a pick. It worries me a little.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Feast or Famine to me for SPCC. They've got a lot of damage. They've got a lot of snowball potential, but if it doesn't go well, and I'm especially looking at that mid lane again, it could just be a collapse of the House of Cards.
They may be trying to set up for team fights here, though. I can see that lineup being fairly good in those team fights, but they have to be able to get them in the right way, and they weren't able to do that last game.
Yeah, it will be a bit rough, and in particular, the Samira that was banned away is probably going to be a bit of a threat. The Ari is, of course, a massive threat, and even if we do get to team fights, Malphite, Unstoppable Force is this huge CC tool. It's so hard to play around, and Viego is absolute nightmare to deal with if he gets some resets. So I'm very scared, even if they do get to these team fights that you're looking for, because they're up against a very strong team fight comp for Forest Lake themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, both teams seem like they have set up for that a little bit. I do think that Forest Lake have still kind of tried to even out their ranks to play a little bit like they did in that first game, whereas SPCC have changed it up a fair bit. Despite that Syndra pick, I think that this should be a very different looking game at the very least.
Yeah, and so while we wait for the spectator delay and then get it set up, we'll just quickly head to a break, but we'll get into that very momentarily. Welcome back for Game 2 of SPCC versus Forest Lake, and Forest Lake took the first game pretty convincingly, I might add. Huge advantage, pentakill for Mochi, and now he's on his preferred Samira pick, so could be even better for him this game as slight trade happening in the top lane, but pretty even overall, as now the fan going on, everyone's just around in the jungle. Ward coming out again by Smiley Nerb. He likes putting that ward in the river, make sure that he's not getting invaded.
Yeah, and I don't know that SPCC after the first game would have the confidence to do that. They did okay very early game, but they lost control of their lanes fairly quickly, particularly in that mid lane. And as soon as there was a little bit of help in the top lane from that jungler, things fell apart pretty quickly there. Of course, the big change here is Happy Face coming in. He is the sub for SPCC side, so should be interesting.
And now, Master Yi is probably just going to have to farm this entire game. It's really hard for him to find ganks. He could try, but unless Malphite or Ari are being very disrespectful and manage to eat a Ruthless Predator from the Renekton or a Scatter the Weak from the Syndra, we should just be completely okay to just head on through and have a pretty chill early game with the main outlier being this bot lane. His bot lane could really easily just die with the Nautilus and the Samira being those early game powerhouses, and two immobile characters. Ezreal has the Arc and Chip, but Swain is not so lucky if he does get hooked here. Speaking of...
Oh, that's a huge hook. He's going to get chunked down. He will not go down. That is incredibly close. The root comes out on both of those red side players at the end there as well to hold them away from that tower, but there will be that regen and the potion pop from the Swain, but it looks like he might actually go back. No, he's going to choose to stay.
Yeah, and that was a big hook. Swain not having flash anymore. Unfortunately, Mochi did have to burn his flash as well after he tried for the lethal, but just barely didn't get it, as the Syndra is performing a lot better in the early game already, actually having advantageous trades into his Ari HP advantage is what you want to see.
And a few more little trading shots in the bottom lane, as well as top lane starts to get pushed up by that Renekton. He is going to be the player that I'm watching the most on this St. Peter Claver College side. SPCC did need some fresh blood after that first game, and he might be the one to do it. He is pushing the lane up fairly hard right now, but looks like Forest Lake High School has noticed somebody in that river. Master Yi might be spotted away here.
Yeah, Diego moving through the middle lane, going to that crab on the other side. Fortunately, can't get anything on the Syndra, not even some poke, but he will have all of his camps cleared and one of the scuttles done, so that he's pretty happy about that. And Syndra has actually had some good trades early, but with the pots eaten by the Ari, now she is back at full HP and is doing fine. As Renekton, as you said, huge trades in this Malphite, kind of scary as Viego's looking for bottom.
Viego coming in now. There's the stun down, and one hit will not be enough to take out the ADC, but that's going to be the first kill going Forest Lake way.
Yeah, huge stuff there. Swain, no flash. Ezreal manages to get out of the Nautilus hook, but Swain, no flash, no mobility, is not so lucky, gets hit by the Nautilus hook, and just gets taken out. And already Snowball coming for the bottom lane, they will just push in this wave because is not in the greatest spot right now.
Now, this mid lane trades looking a little bit better, but will actually be caught out here. The Ari not doing quite as well as first game already.
Yeah, Stacked 5 just trying to prove us wrong with definitely not as disastrous as it was looking last game. Managed to get some good trades, staying even on the HP. Definitely doesn't look like he's about to die, whereas last game he was forced to flash and then even died after being forced to use that flash. So Stack 5 really taking it up for game 2.
And I mean, it really had to as well. Picking that Syndra a second time wanted to prove us wrong on that front, and obviously it's a strong point for Stacked 5, so seeing it come through now with a good early start here would be a huge, huge difference.
Actually, some skirmishing here in the jungle. Viego looks like he's getting the better of it right now.
Yep, Master Yi taking a lot of damage here too. Health bars left on it, but they won't be able to quite chase him down. One health will get taken away by the Ahri. There goes the charm. It's gonna get a second kill, and Viego will take that one.
Yeah, it's not good. It was looking so close. Almost Master Yi able to get out with the flash, but the Spirit Dashes do eventually get Ahri in range, and now it's looking like last game. 2k up, 3 kills up, and this Ahri has started the snowball again. And Viego's also not a character you want to see snowballing. He's just absolute menace if you give him some gold. And so now I'm really scared that we might start to get a repeat of what happened in game 1.
Viego, a little bit of a braver pick, being a new champion as well, coming in here, clearly being able to be played fairly well here. Forest Lake really showing that they can pick something up and just make it work.
Yeah, Viego really strong if in the right hands. Definitely can just go absolutely crazy in a game, and same with Samira as well. They've got a lot of skillful champions, and they're showing them what what they can do in this first round of the knockouts.
Yeah, and though it is a lot more even than we were seeing first game, still that kill deficit there, and a little bit of a gold advantage as well, but it's not looking exactly the same as we saw first game. Gold advantage actually is a little bit more than we saw maybe, but it doesn't seem to be affecting the fights as much as we saw. Maybe that's just going to require a couple more people going back before we see it though.
Ooh, Swain gets caught again. He's got absolutely nothing, but he will have his flash back up to save him, so he won't die, but flash gain burn, a lot of HP going down. And I will mention that in game 1, it was quite slow in the beginning. It was just incremental advantages. They were only up 2,000 gold as they are now at 10 minutes. But you go to 15 minutes and suddenly that gold lead is crept up to a massive 5,000 gold. And that's where you have an issue as Viego's looking for this.
Here comes that gank in. Renekton in a dangerous spot. Master Yi has to help out, but going to sacrifice him here. He's going to go in late, as he's not going to be able to take anyone out. He just sacrifices his own life as well. Poor choices made will absolutely lose them that fight.
And we talked a lot about Mochi. We've talked a lot about Very Bad Bunny, but never mind, Sway will just die. Mochi will just get another pickup. I mentioned his name. He said, yeah, I can indeed get some stuff done here. And what we haven't mentioned is that Viego is a fantastic carry. You know what? I'm not going to disrespect their names. I mentioned that I started to bring up that Viego can carry as well, and they just go, "Yep, we can indeed kill our laners." So now you have 3 carry threats. You have Viego, you have this Ahri solo killing, you have this bottom lane finding the kills as well, and Forest Lake just is absolute terrifying presence.
I have to say, Very Bad Bunny is incredibly impressive right now. I mean, it does not take long before she is a huge threat on the field, that Ahri, and it's come through again in game 2. They should be very worried about this mid lane, especially with a kill under tower there and the Herald going down. Top lane gets a little bit of a look in there, but it's going to be the mid tower under threat as the Herald does go down. Ahri will head back with that jungle.
And I said that the gold lead only started slow in last game, but man, we're at 10 minutes and this time it's 5k already, and that's not what you wanted to see. It was looking better in the very early game. Like you said, the very early game seemed fine, but actually it looks like they're just going deep for this Renekton.
Oh, and it's gonna work too. Huge damage coming out. Oh, just barely is that Malphite able to get away. It might not be enough. Here comes the Yi. Will take one, might take a second. He does a double kill. Could change everything for this Yi. We said already it could be an all or nothing game for that Yi, and that is a big all moment.
Yeah, massive shutdown going on here is a gigantic win. They needed something. They just had no kills on the board as, oh my, Syndra's not looking
Oh,
good. Pops the pot, but is just going to get burned down to death as they do have a Yi that has some gold, but still trouble in this mid lane. We said that it was looking better in the early game, but it looks like Bad Bunny, once the Ari gets the lead, they can still do magnificent things with it as Yi's here, but unfortunately Spirit Dash will just negate it, but there's no flash on that Swain.
yeah, no. Swain is going to go down quite quickly. Will not get that second kill, but a lot of health chunked down, and 2 players remaining in this bot lane will mean there's too much pressure for much CS to come back out of that Ezreal now.
And even in the top lane, as you said, the Malphite is now winning trades with this Renekton. It wasn't able to... Oh, as they actually found Ezreal.
There goes the Ezreal. Good hooks coming out in general from this Nautilus. We saw a lot of them in game 1, but we're seeing them be so more crucial early game this one.
Yeah, exactly right. I was about to say that I've talked a lot about Mochi and Very Bad Bunny, even Captain Kaysen just momentarily there from Forest Lake, but the little presence that we haven't talked about that's allowing this to happen is Zimu on the support, on the Nautilus in particular. Game 1 had a good showing, but it's even better in this one, finding hook after hook onto the Swain and getting the Samira way ahead.
I think my wife would punish me if I didn't mention that there's not a lot of love given to the supports a lot of the time, and this is an amazing job by this support. Even last game, not a big look in, of course, not huge amounts of action out of the support, but that support role being filled so fantastically there on the Forest Lake side.
And man, it's exactly as you said, Renekton can get ahead and can be quite scary, but the Malphite, just absolute monster in his own right, solo killing the Renekton, that's not a good sign. Renekton definitely wants to get that snowball going early game, have a big presence, and he's just unable to get those. Viego's actually getting collapsed on by a lot of SPCC here.
Ooh, yeah, this is a bad look for Viego, gonna get caught out on that red buff there. Was able to take it, but gives it back immediately. And that's actually going to be Ezreal with both blue and red now.
Ezreal with both blue and red, and Captain Kaysen giving over through freebies, but even with the freebies, 7k up, it's looking bad. And the Dragons, one's already been taken, they might even be able to take this when Captain Kaysen returns to the Rift, and if they can get that early soul again, they'll have a huge lead, they'll have the soul, and they'll be able to snowball just as they did in the last game.
Is that red and blue going to be enough for them to even challenge in this bot lane with the level difference there? Both members of Forest Lake are level up on them now. That is going to even out for a moment, but there's such a huge gold difference here. I was going to mention earlier, a lot of that gold difference is in that mid lane as well, and that's why there's such a difference there. That's going to be a big kill there, though. A second one maybe going to come out. But the Swain, yes, will get taken out at the last moment directly under tower.
And Samira Nautilus is a scary duo. They banned the Kai'Sa away because, of course, Kai'Sa Nautilus is another scary duo, but there's just too many picks. There's Tristana, there's Samira, there's Kai'Sa, and they just don't have enough bans to get everything they want. And Malphite's Unstoppable Force is going to completely stop this gank attempt, I think.
Yeah, I mentioned when picking that Malphite might be have more of the ability to carry his own lane than the Shen did in the previous game, and that's really coming true. I mean, he's been able to push up substantially, and he's even gotten almost half the health off of the opposing tower here. It's a very different look in the top lane now compared to what we saw last game, but still, they're going to try and get some damage on him. He's just too tanky.
Yeah, 3 members of SPCC up in the top lane, but I'm not sure they can kill him. Exactly, you said he's tanky. He's tanky, boy. You only have Master Yi and Recton for damage against all this armor. Even if you whack away at him, he's just not dying.
And they had half a lane length there before tower to take some health, and were only able to take, only started with a quarter missing, so they only actually took a quarter of his health with 2 people chunking away at him then.
Yeah, Viego's here just for some moral support, I think. Nothing actually going to happen. Nautilus as well, just leaving Samira mid. Absolutely no fear that she's going to come under harm with how strong she is right now. And Rift Herald is up. They can go for that objective. And Malphite's a bit low on mana, though. Might have to actually take his recall soon. As Yi's going to look for this fight? No, he's not sure about it. It will just be him backing off as Ari also
Might
makes
break down here.
back up.
There is looking like there could be a team fight here in the jungle, but that's going to be a big early kill on Yi there. Will probably shut down the possibility of a team fight here unless SPCC is feeling very brave. I don't know if I would be, but still possibilities. Renekton going to take a little damage there. No real fight happening though as mid tower gets a look in there. Ari still plugging away at the bottom lane there, and there's very, very little that the Ezreal can do against the absolute gold advantage that Ari has there.
And it's just absolute disaster everywhere. Samira and Ari pushing up on these towers, and meanwhile, Renekton is trying so hard in his top lane, but the Malphite just has so much armor. He's tickling the Malphite, barely breaking the passive shield, and meanwhile taking half of his health bar in these trades. It's just looking extremely rough. And I said before that the Yi is going to have to try and get to these fights, as you said, be a presence in the team fights, but they need to get something back. They need to recover some of this gold because they're down 11k and they just can't be down that amount of gold before they get into the team fights they're looking for.
You have to say, Renekton actually doing very well on CS there, but it's not been enough to negate the assists that Malphite's got there. 1 kill, 3 assists. There's another kill for Ari, almost expected at this point as Yi goes down. Very squishy there. Another one will actually come out finally for SPCC as they do take down that jungler.
Yeah, Captain Kaysen giving over a few freebies. That is 3 of the 4 kills that Blue Side have been able to find have been just Captain Kaysen wandering into the enemy jungle and being caught out, as Ari does have Spirit Dash to get away. Shouldn't be in too much trouble here once she sees that there's members going after her. She might even try and turn it, actually.
I was watching these 3 come up and going, okay, who actually has the health to be able to take her out before she gets a kill? The answer is nobody.
And she even gets out. Barely doesn't die to the Yi, who does flash and ultimate to try and catch her, but unfortunately they can't get the 1k sitting on Ari's head, and that would have been a really big pickup. It was almost a really nice play there, but instead Ari just trades 1 for 0.
And again, Nautilus gets that look in as that support, doing a great job just coming in there right at the crucial moment and enough to ward off the incoming attacks to chase down that Ari as well.
Nautilus?
There's the hook. Coming out, a lot of damage. Won't be enough for a kill just yet as they get CC'd down. Malphite though, no fear at all, just too much health. Takes 1, looks to get a lot of damage back on Renekton as well, but won't take a kill there.
And man, 18 minutes in, getting flashed on under your Nexus towers.
Huge. Mochi, absolutely massive. Still going, a lot of damage, but Renekton has the health to last it out. Nautilus may not have enough there either, might have been better off just to turn and fight till the end there, as a double kill actually does come out finally, and the happy face Renekton will be the one to take those kills.
And they do get something back. Mochi going a little bit too far, absolutely just telling Stacked 5 he does not get to play League of Legends in this game. Still enables them to kill off the support who has a bounty of his own and be AD carry, but it's not enough. They're still down so much gold, and Renekton was not the member you wanted to see get that musty. It was definitely the recipient you were looking for, as Renekton, he can't even beat this Malphite. Nevertheless, the rest of Malphite's team, it's really hard for them to play, as they have 3 dragons here for Forest Lake. They have the Baron coming up. It's going to take a god tier team fight from this Master Yi, from the Ezreal, to get enough poke. And even just the scariest thing is, how are they killing Malphite at this point?
Yeah, I mean, Malphite can tank 3 of them at once and not die, so this is going to be huge, and he's going to be the one to initiate. It's a good initiate too. Out comes the team fight. Everybody's in. There goes Master Yi. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be a triple kill there. An ace comes out, and so goes down the inhibitor as well.
And I think this will be an end. There's 5 members alive, 5 people dead. They have a minion wave. They're just going to go straight for these Nexus towers, and they're strong enough that they're going to be able to take this game.
Yeah, and very, very quickly to a huge win. Massive fashion for them, and 6 kills to 26. Mochi actually dying for the first time in both games, only a minute before the end. Huge win for them.
And Forest Lake just looks terrifying. The first BO3 they played, they absolutely demolished their competition. 15k leads, 20-minute games, both of them. And now we'll just have to see who can actually stand up to Forest Lake and contest them.
Yeah, and that is going to be a scary ask. I mean, Boshi in top lane, both times winning his lane outright, maybe not against the tower, but definitely against the players. Huge stuff out of him. Very bad Bunny, though. He was such a threat right from word go. Like, the instant Bunny was in lane, that Ahri was a threat every single time. It didn't matter what the health advantage was, just so much skill as a player. Mochi, of course, snowballing as ever. That 9-1-4 coming out. Huge stuff out of the ADC as well.
Yeah, the Ahri into the Syndra. The Syndra managed to pick it up, try their very best in the second game, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. The Ahri snowball gets going, and Bad Bunny was able to just take it through for the rest of the game again. And Mochi on his Samira didn't get it game 1, but it was his signature pick. He likes it. He gets it in the game 2, and then he can just absolutely dominate his lane with it. So just good stuff overall, and I hope to see more of them throughout the tournament.
Absolutely. I think we definitely will. Worth discussing the losing side here, though. Definitely some big efforts coming out there. I think that the Master Yi was probably a poor pick. I think it was definitely a pick of the heart more than maybe a strategy here, as were most of the picks on the team this time for SPCC. But I have to say, yeah, definitely this time around, that Syndra was much better, and it did take a bit of effort for the Ahri to break through that and do something. So sticking with the Syndra, I have full respect for that.
Yeah, if it's what you do, then just try it again, try and do better that time. There's nothing more you can do. I'm always a big fan of, especially in lower ranks, like to just make sure that you find what you're good at and stick to it and be true to yourself. And that's what they did for game 2. They were just like, okay, we know what we like, we know who we are, we're going to try and do it, and if it doesn't work, so be it. But if it does work, then we can try and push through and go to game 3 and take the series.
Yeah. But, of course, it was Forest Lake High School taking the win, and in such a massive fashion. It was fitting that the final thing we saw was a huge teamfight win. The triple kill coming out there, the ace, and just walked through the inhibitor in the last 2 towers. A huge win for them.
And I believe that's all for today with the quick 2-0. So thanks for coming, those who stuck around. I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see more of Forest Lake. And anything else?
It was just a pleasure to be here. Actually, my first experience casting League of Legends. I'd just like to give a shout out to the whole team for having me on, and of course your support as well, Ro. Awesome experience, and I hope to be back again, particularly if I get to see more of Forest Lake High School. Amazing stuff out of that.
Yeah, pleasure casting with you today, Gex. Hope you all have a good night. We'll see you around.